Genghis Khan, a name that echoes through the centuries, synonymous with conquest and empire. But the man himself began life as an outcast, left to die on the very plains he would one day command. His story is not one of privileges, but of unimaginable resilience. It is the story of a boy who rose from obscurity to reshape the world, a journey from nothing to master of everything. He was not born into glory, but into struggle. The Mongolian steppe, a land of endless horizons and unforgiving winters, shaped those who lived upon it into warriors or ghosts. For those who could not fight, the wind simply erased their names. And it was within this harsh crucible that Temujin, the future Genghis Khan, took his first breath. He was born Temujin, and his world was defined by betrayal. When his father, Yasuge, was poisoned by a rival clan, the fragile alliances that had once protected his family dissolved overnight. Their own tribe abandoned them, stealing their livestock and leaving them to the mercy of the steppe. In that moment, Temujin's childhood ended. To survive, he learned the land's brutal logic. The rivers, the wind, the animals, all were teachers in the art of endurance. He hunted for scraps, trapped small animals, and watched his mother, Holun, turn bark and wild roots into food. And in a defining, brutal moment, he killed his own half-brother over a single fish, a stark lesson that weakness meant death, and that power, in all its forms, was the only true currency. He was captured as a young man, enslaved with a heavy wooden collar around his neck, paraded as a trophy by those who thought they had broken him. But Temujin did not break. One night, under a veil of darkness, he escaped his captors, hiding in an icy river until the danger passed. That escape was not just freedom, it was rebirth. The world had tried to bury him, and he had learned to dig his way out. His genius lay not in brutality, but in understanding people. When his wife, Berthe, was kidnapped by a rival tribe, Temujin did not despair. He turned pain into purpose. Rallying old allies, he promised them a share of the spoils, a radical idea in a world ruled by bloodlines and aristocracy. Through that promise, he built trust, and through trust, he built power. He rescued Berthe, and in doing so, proved his worth as a leader who valued loyalty above privilege. Warrior by warrior, tribe by tribe, he began to unite the Mongols. He shattered the old order where clan ties dictated status and replaced it with something revolutionary, a meritocracy. A warrior's rank was no longer determined by birth, but by ability. In this new world, even the lowest shepherd could rise to command 1,000 men. Years of relentless battles and alliances followed. His charisma drew men to him. His victories made them stay. And as the fires of civil war burned across the steppe, Temujin rose above them all. In 1206, at a great council of the tribes, the Mongols gathered on the plains to celebrate their unity. There, Temujin was lifted on a felt carpet and given a new name, Genghis Khan, sovereign of all between the oceans. The outcast was now the universal ruler. With this title came an audacious new ambition. His eyes turned outward, toward the ancient, walled empires that bordered his world. The Jin dynasty in northern China, rich, powerful, and contemptuous of the steppe, the Khwarezmian Empire in Central Asia, a vast realm of cities, trade, and wealth. To them, the Mongols were savages, unworthy of diplomacy. To Genghis Khan, they were opportunities waiting to be seized. What he unleashed was not just an army, but a revolution in warfare. His forces moved with a speed and precision that the world had never witnessed. They were an organism, disciplined, self-sufficient, and terrifyingly efficient. Each rider carried multiple horses, sustaining the momentum of endless travel. They could cross hundreds of miles in days, striking from the horizon before an enemy even realized they were under attack. As the years wore on, Genghis Khan continued to lead his armies personally. Even as his empire stretched from the Pacific to the Caspian Sea, his hunger for expansion never dimmed. He believed he was chosen by the eternal blue sky, the divine spirit of the Mongols, to bring order to the earth. Yet, beneath the legend, he remained human. He loved his children, respected his mother deeply, and feared betrayal to the end. In 1227, during a campaign against the Tanguts in western China, Genghis Khan died. The cause remains uncertain. Some say illness, others an injury in battle. His final wish was simple yet profound, that he be buried in secret in the soil of his homeland, unmarked and untouched. His funeral procession killed every witness to keep the grave hidden forever. But his death did not end his empire. It merely transformed it. His sons and grandsons carried his banner across continents, to Russia, to the Middle East, even to the gates of Europe. At its height, the Mongol Empire was the largest contiguous land empire in human history. Under his descendants, trade and cultural exchange flourished on an unprecedented scale. The world grew smaller, more connected, and forever changed. And yet, history remembers him in contradictions. To some, he was a ruthless conqueror, responsible for unimaginable bloodshed. To others, a visionary who unified nations and ignited an age of global exchange. The truth lies somewhere between. Genghis Khan was both destroyer and creator, barbarian and lawgiver, monster and visionary. He was the abandoned child who became an emperor, the destroyer of cities who opened the highways of the world, a man who used unparalleled violence to create unprecedented connection. His legacy is a paradox, written across the DNA of millions and etched into the very map of civilization. He was a force of nature, born from the silence of the steppe, molded by hardship, driven by vision. His empire eventually crumbled, as all empires do, but his impact endures in the rhythms of trade, in the exchange of ideas, and in the belief that even from the humblest beginnings, greatness can rise. Genghis Khan's story reminds us that history's most powerful figures are often forged not in comfort, but in struggle. From the frozen plains of Mongolia to the farthest corners of the earth, his echo remains, a whisper carried on the wind. He was a man who changed the world, and the world has never forgotten his name.